WashingTECH.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe Miller, and here's what's happening in the world of tech law and policy this week. Let's face it, DMs, whether they're encrypted or not, direct messages that is, are no longer safe, if they ever were. Now, following the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs overturning Roe v. Wade, law enforcement in states in which abortion is now illegal have been obtaining search warrants that require social media companies like Facebook, which recently gave police a Nebraska teen's personal conversation she'd had with her mom on WhatsApp regarding an abortion the teen allegedly had. There's an open letter you can sign that's hosted by the Fight for the Future Education Fund, which you can find in the show notes. It's a petition for social media companies to set end-to-end encryption on messaging apps as the default, rather than leaving them open to virtual surveillance not envisioned by the framers when they drafted the Fourth Amendment. And virtual commercial surveillance is out of control across the board, which is likely the reason why the Federal Trade Commission extended the comment period for its advanced notice of proposed rulemaking on commercial surveillance. Should the FTC write new rules governing cybersecurity and commercial surveillance? Well, you can weigh in until November 21st. And what's an example of commercial surveillance that advocates are concerned about? One example is the way in which customers can now surveil delivery workers in ways that weren't possible before, which Data and Society argues in a new report has turned porches and front doorsteps into workplaces. And we have a link to that report in the show notes as well. And the Labor Department has announced a proposed rule designed to limit the extent to which companies may classify gig workers as independent contractors. Many of these workers are doing gig work as their primary source of income, which effectively makes them full-time employees. They are contractors in name only. And the proposed Labor Department rule sets forth a new test for determining whether a gig worker is a contractor or employee, namely whether the worker is in business for themselves or whether the employee's work is integral to the company's business. So under the proposed rule, a company like Uber would need to classify drivers as full-time employees rather than independent contractors, so these workers can avail themselves of the health and other benefits companies often reserve only for their full-time employees. Finally, a new AP poll finds that most Americans are finding it more difficult to know what they should believe online and in the media in general. We're talking about 91% of adults finding misinformation to be a problem, with 80% of Democrats and 70% of Republicans finding that misinformation contributes to political polarization. So a 10-point difference there, with Democrats believing that misinformation is a problem to a greater extent than Republicans in the survey. And the Texas representative for San Antonio, Joaquin Castro, along with several other Hispanic groups, including the National Hispanic Media Coalition, are warning about rampant misinformation targeting Latino communities that's often disseminated on chat apps like WhatsApp. This is happening amidst a new Washington Post Ipsos poll that found Latinos, while 63% overall still support Democrats, that number is actually declining because Democrats now hold only a 27-point lead over Republicans compared to 40% in the years leading up to President Biden's election. To go deeper, you can find links to all these stories in the show notes. Stay safe, stay informed, have a great week. Ciao.
Are you worried about your kids' safety on the internet? We are here to help. WashingTECH's 5-step checklist will take you through the process of protecting your kids, and will give you tips on how to set up the best parental controls for your children on their devices. You want what's best for your children. They deserve to be safe online. Our step-by-step guide will help you make sure they are. Download WashingTECH's online safety checklist today to protect your kids online. Find it at protectyourkids.online. That's protectyourkids.online.
WashingTECH.